Hi everybody, this is my 40-gallon brackish tank. Although technically it doesn't really have brackish water in it anymore. I've actually reduced the salinity to just below the brackish level. And I think today we're actually going to reduce the salinity a little bit more. We're going to do a water change, and we are going to do a rare filter change. I haven't changed the filter in this tank in so long, I can't even remember when it's probably been a year. Honestly, it really has. I've always figured as long as the water was flowing freely, then why worry about it? And recently I cleaned out a filter in my 125-gallon New World tank that was so fouled on the inside that the water was not really flowing through the filter anymore. It was just kind of bypassing through a little channel it had carved in the sludge on the inside. And therefore the filter wasn't really doing anything other than circulating water around. And for as long as this filter's been sitting on here, I would imagine it's the same way. So today we're going to pull that out. We're going to have a look at what it looks like. One of the reasons I don't mess with it is because it's on this little stand under the tank. And as you can probably make out, it's a little bit awkward to get in there and pull those hoses off and slide that thing out. But today we're going to do it. And since I got you here and we're looking before we get started, I'll give you a rare behind the scenes look at what the top of my brackish tank looks like. This is usually one of my catch-all areas that I wind up throwing all kinds of stuff: thermometers, cameras, fish food, medications, a puffer fish Christmas ornament with glitter inside. All this stuff just kind of lives up here on top of the tank. So today we're going to get in there, we're going to do that. We're going to do the water change, we're going to change out the filter. All of this white stuff on the bottom, if you're not familiar with this tank, is the shells of dinners past. Those are mostly ram's horn snail shells. So we're going to get in there and try to vac a lot of those out. And we are also going to try to physically remove a bunch of that red cyanobacteria via suction. We're not going to do any kind of cyanobacteria treatment, with ChemiClean or anything like that. We're just going to get in there and try to physically remove some of that. So probably just going to set the camera up, let it roll, and then we'll sort of watch a fast forward version of the work I'm doing in there, and then we'll see what it looks like afterwards. So consider this part your before. All right, everybody, while the tank is filling up, Let's have a look inside and see how much of a mess this really is. So far, it doesn't look too bad. I was expecting it to be pretty much solid sludge, and we can see that it's not. Now, when we get down, you can see how slowly the water's draining through there. The way I set these trays up is I put a liner in the bottom of each one, so even though trays like this are primarily designed for biofiltration, they do still collect some of the detritus and stuff that comes up through the tank. So we want to dig down. I want to see what the bottom one looks like, which is the one that's all filter. Now this one likewise has a nice thick layer of liner in it, but is predominantly in there for the purposes of a tray full of biofiltration. And this one, because this is a 303B, not a 304, this is the actual filter pads. And I've got to say, I've got a guppy swimming around in there that's still alive. We'll have to go ahead and get him out. I have found fish in filters before, but not for quite a while, so interesting. I put those little tiny fry inside the tank, and now I've got one living in here. So let me go ahead and get that out. But this is that's the filter pad, the one on the bottom, the one that's supposed to be the dirtiest, and it actually looks like that. That's not too bad at all. And it has been a very, very long time since I've done any cleaning in here. So anyway, let me get in there and get that little fishy out and get it back in the tank before the tank overflows. But I wanted to give you a look at what the inside of the filter looks like. And there's your after. So I've given up waiting for Butterbean to come out and make himself shown. He's busy skulking in the back of the tank. And I will say, when I looked here in the viewfinder on the camera, I had to do a double take and physically look in the tank to see what that purple thing sticking up on the right side was. And it is just some of that red cyanobacteria that, for some reason on this camera, always comes out looking vibrant, like almost a magenta or purple color. And it is not that color at all. It's sort of like a rusty reddish brown color to me. So again, not sure why it comes out like that on camera, but I find it fascinating. It is now the following day. I wound up doing a little bit more work after I shut the camera off when I was doing the water change. I got the gravel vac out, the regular gravel vac, not the regular siphon hose I'd been using. And I gravel vacked a little bit, and it wound up kicking up a lot of sort of gray dust into the water column. And even when I refilled the tank, it stayed in there for a long time, and so I wanted to let the tank clear up, and now it is the following afternoon. You also may notice that there is an awful lot of sand on the bottom of the tank, and that is because I put a bunch of sand in the tank after I finished the water change. My regular viewers might remember my purple spotted gudgeon tank I had once upon a time. That had that black sand bottom, and I collected all that up and out of there, and that has just been sitting in a bucket in the other room. I've been meaning to actually get it back into some of the tanks that needed a little sort of fill up on the substrate. I always lose a little bit of substrate when I'm doing gravel vacs and stuff like that, especially these tanks that have this sandier type substrate in it. So the substrate that is in this tank is the bimodal stuff. It's got gravelly bits and it's got sandy bits, and the sandy bits are supposed to make their way to the bottom, and the gravelly bits make their way to the top, and you get all this good effect with the biofiltration and blah blah blah. There's a lot of good stuff going on there. So what I did was just dumped a bunch of extra sand in on top of all of that gravel. You can see here in the back where it's still sort of gravelly looking around the filter intake. I only dumped it up here in the front because over time that will get spread out. The fish kicking around, stirring it up. When I get in there and do water changes, it'll get swirled around and stirred up. Butterbean will often get down in the corners and he kicks out little, depressions and makes himself little like nesting type areas. So it'll get spread around and it'll get mixed in with the tank, and pretty soon you won't even be able to tell that I just put a bunch of sand in on top of the tank. The guppy that I rescued is still doing fine as far as I can tell, and when I looked in there and counted last night, I was able to see 9 of them all huddled together in one spot. And so I definitely still have at least 9 of them here in this tank, so we'll have to wait and see as they mature. Maybe they'll breed in here or something. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But when I filled it back up, I did not fill it with any kind of brackish water at all. I didn't put any salt in it. I just did straight water right out of my ground, and honestly did not even check the TDS or the salinity or anything like that. At this point, we are well below anything approaching brackish. At this point, we were below the brackish level before, and I did 2 5-gallon buckets that you saw on video, and then I did some more gravel vacuuming after that with the standard gravel vac. So I probably removed another couple gallons on top of that, and then filled it back up, plus whatever was in the filter got removed out of the system, and fresh water got put back into the filter. So that's another 1.5 gallons or 2 gallons of fresh water right there. And I have very, very soft water. So we are probably at a specific gravity of like 1.001 at this point, or maybe 1.002 or something. We are well below the threshold of brackish water. So we'll see how Butterbean does, and as long as he doesn't seem like he's showing any signs of distress, maybe the plants will start growing in a little bit better, and who knows, maybe in the long run we'll have to gradually stop calling this my brackish tank and call it something else. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, there you go. There is a look at what we're still currently calling my brackish tank, just because of what it is, not because of the kind of water that's in there, but you already got that, so we're going to call this the end of this video. I'm going to say thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. You won't miss anything I got coming up. And I will see you real soon in the next one.